Hello everyone and welcome at another episode of Site Spotlight. My name is Marieke van der Rakt and I'm here with Taco Verdonschot. Taco, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I am doing really well too, and that's because we're going to look at a website that I love. Yeah, well, I love the product. I love everything about it.
Yeah, I'm very much not the target audience for this website, but I'm very happy to hear that you are because
Yes,
that
I want to
might
buy
influence your opinion.
I want to buy all the stuff from this website. Yeah, it will influence my opinion, but then you'll be objective.
I'll try.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are we looking at?
Well, we're already looking at the homepage, and so I am biased because I love stationery, and so that's also this website made me smile. So I think the design looks really well for people that love these kinds of stuff. Cafe Analogue runs on a Dutch domain, a .nl domain, yet the entire site is in English. And that tells me that their audience probably is international and that their choice is intentional. But it could be a problem with a country level code top level domain, which .nl is. You may want to make it crystal clear to search engines and to first-time visitors that you ship worldwide, that English is the site's primary language. A simple "we ship worldwide from the Netherlands" line just above the fold, I think that would help here. But a lot, yeah,
So from a technical perspective, they do communicate
yeah,
that the site
yeah,
is in English.
yeah.
We checked that out and they're doing that part well.
Yeah, so it's the only thing is if people from, I don't know, the United States see this and they see a .nl domain, they might think, okay, is this
It's
for
not
me?
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of the homepage, I think, is working. The homepage functions like a storefront scroll. You immediately see what they sell. They sell stamps, and I want those stamps, and washi tapes and pens and handmade paper. It invites you to browse the site. The depth is real. The brand page lists a lot of beloved names, a lot of small studios. I think that is a credibility booster for people that like these kinds of stuff. I think they're also built personality in this website. There's an about section with actual humans, Honey, Danielle, Yuka, and like a nice brand story. There's a stationery cafe concept that frames the vibe. There's a blog with recent posts, and there is a coming soon page that teases what will arrive next. So I think that's great. I think trust is visible, a 5-star review footprint via Trust Index, worldwide shipping, a clear 14-day money-back promise. That's what reassures people that buy from abroad, right? So
Yeah.
what could they do to improve? I think that trust could be more on top of the page, right? The worldwide shipping, the 5-star reviews, they have that proof, but I would make it like show it above the fold. Maybe have one sentence that really says what they're doing, because it's mostly Japanese and indie stationery, if I understand it correctly. Make sure that that's also clear from the homepage. Write that down somewhere. I think that's it, because they did the domain name and language thing. They did that
Yeah.
correctly. So I think it's charming, it's enthusiastic, and I am now one of their new potential loyal buyers.
So we're gonna see these stamps and stuff all over the office now?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's take a look at the technical side of this website. The first thing that stood out to me when loading the site is that it's fairly slow. And to showcase this, I'm going to use the dev tools that we see in Google Chrome. And there's an option to set it to load in slow 4G. And then when I reload the website, you can see how long it takes to really load the full website. And of course, for my home connection, that's a fast fiber optic, fiber to the home connection, that's not a problem. But if we do it on a slower connection, on a cell phone, for example, when you're doing your arts and crafts and you quickly want to order that extra thing you need to work with, this might be a suboptimal experience. Now you see it is still loading. So while I've been talking, it's been loading and loading and loading the page. And this is actually what we're seeing that's problematic on this site. It's now loaded and I should be able to show you. It's now considered almost finished at around a minute. Oh. And the initial load was between 5 and 10 seconds, which is really, really slow. Then again, this is throttled on the slow 4G, so it mimics a slow internet connection. But it's definitely something to take a look at. And it's also what we see when we look at PageSpeed Insights, which is a tool created by Google to sort of show you what they are seeing. And what really stands out here is the time to first byte. And that means how long does it take the server to send an initial piece of information on this website to your browser, to you as a visitor. And 3.9 seconds is really, really slow, like problematically slow. So this means that the site could benefit from being hosted on a faster server or a better optimized server. It means it can benefit from caching, and it can benefit from having a CDN in front of it. Okay. And a CDN is basically an extra layer that has your site mostly stored and can serve it much more quickly than your server itself can.
Is that also better for the environment, Taco, or does that not matter?
Well, yes. If it takes less computing time to do things, that's definitely a positive effect on everything that's trying to load the website, because you're spending energy waiting for things to happen. Now, regardless of the host, whether you stay with the same one or switch to a faster one, it could be interesting to take a look at Cloudflare, which is a very well-known CDN. And even their free plan might be enough to help your site speed up, and especially on that initial time to first byte. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is cookies. Because what you can see here is that there's a consent pop-up, and I haven't opened it yet. But when we go to cookies, you see that there's a few cookies loaded already. And one of those cookies that's loaded is WFFN_FLT. And so I looked at what is this cookie. It stores a date and a time, and it turns out to be a funnel kit cookie. And if we search for it, it is listed as an analytics cookie. Now, the privacy regulations, especially in Europe, state that you can only set essential cookies, and you can only set analytics cookies and other cookies after you've gotten consent from the user. And as you could see, I didn't give my consent yet. I didn't make a decision yet. So you shouldn't be loading any analytics cookies up until the point you've gotten that consent. So this might be worth either looking into your cookie consent plugin or the funnel kit that you're running to see if there's a way to make sure that you do this correctly. Now, the good thing is that this website, and let me close this for a bit, has all the way at the bottom a cookie policy page. And that shows that they're aware of, hey, we're setting cookies, and we're doing this deliberately. The thing is that most of their analytics cookies are marked as purpose pending investigation, which basically means we know we're setting these, but we haven't properly classified them yet. And a large number of those are actually analytics cookies that should be behind your consent plugin. So that's something that I would encourage them to take another look at and maybe, definitely do better.
Right. It's very complicated, all those cookies.
Yes,
So I
it
can
is.
imagine
Uh,
people making mistakes in these.
and I will say that most of these mistakes are probably not intentional.
No, no.
It's because a theme or a plugin comes with some form of tracking that escapes your attention.
Yeah.
So no, it's not easy, but take another look and do better in the future.
Luckily, you are here, Taco. You're the cookie king.
Yay!
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to look at for the technical section is the sitemap. Because as always, when there's an author sitemap, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can actually see it. When there's an author sitemap, it always draws my attention. And that is because too often there's only a single author, yet an author sitemap is showing, which is then creating duplicate content. Fortunately, when we look at the author sitemap for Cafe Analogue, we see that there's actually two authors, so it makes sense to have this sitemap. The thing is that if you go to the author, and let's go to Honey, and I'll accept the cookies for now, you see that Honey has written 39 articles. They're nicely listed on the page, but there's no extra information on the author. So this is a really nice opportunity to add some value to this page and to create a real author page.
Yeah. And that's important because Google wants to see that these are real people writing something, so you can show your expertise and yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And so the other thing that always draws my attention is a post tag sitemap. Tags on social media are used to sort of make a search effort across the platform, and it doesn't matter how many of them you add. That's different on your website because every tag creates another URL that needs to be crawled, that needs to be can be indexed, or that can be thin content, so really low of value, low in information. And there's a lot of tags. The number is quite okay compared to the number of posts they actually have on the site. However, if we open up those tags, it's one or two posts. DIY has a few more, but they're all marked as uncategorized. So that's something that you may need to solve as well. There's tag pages with just one, and that just doesn't make sense. So installing a plugin that will help you manage those tags, and there's a fantastic one called Fewer Tags, will definitely help you improve your website and get rid of a lot of those useless URLs.
Yeah, so if you have a tag with only one article in it, you actually just create another page. Just
Yes.
and that's not good. So Google will not like that. And we see this all the time, right, Taco?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes. This happens on most sites.
Yeah, so look at that, because tags and categories should be built to help people find your content, and in this way it's not helping them.
No, absolutely not. Luckily, with fewer tags, it's easy to solve.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that you can get rid of in under 5 minutes.
So let's look at content. So I looked at this blog post we're currently looking at, and I skimmed through a few others. And what I noticed was that I had a pretty hard time figuring out what the blog posts were about. It was hard for me to figure out what the core message or the idea behind these blog posts were. After some time, I now think that every month another word or phrase is chosen, and that people are invited to write something about that phrase with like that matches the idea of a stationery. So I like that idea, but when first reading through the post, I did not immediately get that. I put the text of this August post in the Yoast analysis to check readability, and I noticed that the sentences in this post are really, really lengthy. So about 40% of the sentences is too long. That means at least 25 words or more. And that probably is at least one of the reasons why these posts are really hard to read. Because longer sentences are much more difficult for your brain to grasp the meaning, especially if longer sentences are put behind another long sentence, then your brain it just doesn't understand anymore. So try to avoid these. Cut them in half by creating 2 shorter sentences. I think that could really make a difference. So I do like the idea, but I think it needs just a little bit more empathy, at least for a new audience, to understand, okay, why are we writing these blog posts? What can people do with it? And then create shorter sentences. And that's basically it, because I just love this site. So I don't have any more criticism.
Nice. Yeah, so basically they're doing everything right because they sell awesome products.
Yes, that's what it is.
Love it. Time to talk about accessibility. I know I'm turning 40 this year, but despite getting a little bit older, my vision is still pretty good. And I need it on this side because the font of the menu is so horribly small that even on my desktop, it's very hard to read.
You're totally right. It's usually something that I say, but I'm just
Yes.
too biased for this site.
Yeah, I mean, this is a menu here at the top. It's easy to overlook because it's just too small. And I get that there's a lot of menu items that they want to have on a single line, but maybe they just need to structure the menu differently in order to solve this problem, because this is just too small. It needs to be larger if it needs to be a menu that people actually have to use.
Yeah.
And it goes for other areas of the site as well. We looked at the blog post earlier. That's also, the text is on the small side.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that the target audience for this site is necessarily a bit older, because I don't want to do that to you, but it might be. And even if it's not, it's nice for everyone to not have to squeeze your eyes in order to be able to read the text. So make it easier for your visitors and enlarge that text. Make sure that you have a font that's easily readable
Only
and
enlarge
large
it,
enough.
because I love the font. And so they should keep the font, but they should make it larger. I totally agree with you. And that will make it easier to read as well. It's just, if it's small, it's harder to grasp what it's about. So I totally agree with you.
Luckily. So let's go back to the homepage. Now, what I'm going to do is reload the homepage and stop using my mouse and test a little bit for keyboard accessibility. What I really like about this site is that you can see the focus switch for most of the items. You see I lost it there a bit for the selector currency. Right now I'm at the top, my account. But other than that, there's a clear outline of focus. We tap through the site in a decent order. It makes sense. You go from one element to the next. On the button, I'm currently on the Shop Now button. It might be a little bit clearer because that contrast is a bit harder to see. That goes for all those buttons, but it is there. You can still see it. On other elements of the site, it's much clearer where you're at. So that is pretty well done. The only thing is, if I'm on the site at the top, let me reload the page to make my life easier. Every time I want to go somewhere on the site, I have to tap through the entire menu. Okay. And because it is quite large, you can see that I have to go through the sub-menu, I have to go through everything. So adding a skip to content link would be very helpful for people who use just a keyboard or other assistive technology. It just makes it easier that they can jump immediately to the content of the page instead of having to go through the entire menu on every new page load. Yeah. Now, the last thing is color contrast. And even when the font is significantly bigger, the foreground and the background color need to be different enough to be readable in broad daylight and to be read by people with visual impairment, for example. And in that sense, this site is doing really well. Oh. The red against the light, almost white background works really well. All the red text on the elements have a lighter bar behind it, so to create that contrast, even if the image behind it is a little bit darker or closer to red. The banners have a nice contrast between the background color and the text color. So that is done really well on this site.
I'm just looking at all the things I want to buy.
I think that we can, if we have to go through the entire site, Marieke, our site spotlight will be a very long episode. So, yeah, right. You know what? Let's end the episode and then you can browse all you want.
Yeah, I'm going to get my cart full of stuff and order that. And yeah, there was a nice episode.
Yeah, I like this site, even though there's some things to improve.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a positive vibe. It looks nice. It's easy on the eyes. And I can read everything in contrast. And it well
works
done.
Because they convinced people to buy from the website, which I think is what they intend to do. So that's great. So that was it for today. We'll see you on the next episode. And if you want us to take a look at your website, Taco, we'll do that for you. And maybe we'll even buy stuff if it's right up my alley.
Absolutely. So go to progressplanner.com/site-spotlight. And that's where you can sign up, just like the owner of Cafe Analogue did.
Yeah, thank you for that. So see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.